remember last time I talked about the idea that before the creation there was only God. And God was God. God was complete. And the only thing that God lacked was somebody that was not God for companionship. And that's something that God cannot create. In other words, he can't create companionship for himself. That's a contradiction in terms. So, in order for God to make a place for us to live, there had to be something that was not God. So God, if you will, makes a little space and creates this universe for us to live in. Created both time and space, neither of which he needs, and he created this little place for us. And inside this place, and you've all heard this before in various incarnations, everything that is necessary for us to live is balanced precisely. For example, if you have a star that doesn't have a planet the size of Jupiter, what happens is the planet that is analogous to Earth gets pelted with meteorites and asteroids. What Jupiter does with its massive gravitational well is it sucks out all the space junk and keeps it from hitting Earth, which gives space for people to live. If the various balances of the physical constants of the universe vary by an infinitesimal amount, stars never coalesce. So everything is very precisely made for us. So God made this place just for us, and then he turns us loose in it. His hope is that we will then develop as independent beings, and we will then choose to be in companionship with him. I've told you the story of Svengali, right? There's an old movie. It's from an old book, and the title is Svengali. Svengali is a hypnotist. And Svengali falls in love with Trilby, who is a beautiful young girl, much younger than he is. Svengali's in his 50s or so, she's 19. Falls in love with her and hypnotizes her. And as a result of that hypnosis, she gains a beautiful singing voice. And he travels the world with her singing. And he's in love with her. And she has no interest in him whatsoever. She thinks that he's a stage manager, basically. And so at one point in the movie, he's overcome with passion for her, hypnotizes her, and starts to make love to her. And then he stops. And he looks up at the camera and he says, "This is just Svengali talking to himself." Because Trilby's not there. She has no free will in this process because he's hypnotized her. Even though she is available to him, if you will, it doesn't mean anything because it's just him talking to himself. And it's the same way with God. If we don't have the ability not to love him, then loving him is just God talking to himself, and this whole exercise is without any point. So, what God has done is made a place for us to live, and now we are in the image of God. And what we're now doing is we are making a place for God to live, just like God made a place for us to live, because we are in the image of God. He made a place for us, so we in his image turn around and we want to make a place for him. And oh, by the way, I went through this list of things that have to be exactly, precisely right in order for us to live. Well, this world is not the place where God lives. Where God lives is completely different, and the rules are different. God doesn't need gravity. God doesn't need magnetism. All of the things about this earth that we need, God doesn't need. So what does God need in his? He needs holiness. He needs clean and unclean. So what we do is we create in that place the conditions that God needs, even though they're not what we need. Clean and unclean, tahor and tamai, only have any meaning with respect to our relation to God. So we have to make a place where clean and unclean, holy and common mean things, just like he has created a place where gravity means something, light means something, all that kind of stuff. We're creating an environment for him just like he created an environment for us. And the things that are in his environment are not things we need, and the things that are in our environment are not things he needs. The whole idea of there being something that is not for you. So this universe, if you will, is not for God, because this isn't God's environment, if environment can be talked about in terms of God. This isn't his environment. This is something that is created for us. And then what we do is we create within there, again, a special space, a special environment for him, because we are in the image of God.